Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. I'm back on this Parker, and I discovered that the angle on this floor is worse than I thought. It peaks way up here in the middle, and I'm going to lower that down. And the runners are on such an angle that it actually pinches off. And you have almost like a ditch down on this side. And when I blow through that, if I have anything like metal laying down in here, it stays there. It don't even move. It's almost like when you have a tornado coming and you jump into a ditch and the air goes over top and you're down in the hole. That's my way of thinking on that, guys. So what I'm doing, I'm trying to taper the wall into the floor, and I'm trying to get up all the way out of the runner. And I can get almost all the way out with the ball here, and then I'll come in from the other side. But right now I'm concentrating on, guys, I want to level this floor out right here. It doesn't really show up as crucial like normal on, of course, when you're filming something. But the peak is just too high on this, so I'm going to level it out. And I have street cars, fellas. I don't have flat out to the wood track cars, so they get driven on the street too. So I'm going to try to at least make this where I can still use it on the street if I can only get my other engine together. The bucket list engine, that's what this was originally for, so we'll see if things still work out like that. But I'm back to this drill, guys, the one I put brushes in. And what was weird, I bragged my DeWalt drill up, and I went in the house after I made a segment and showed you guys my drill, how long I've had this. And Big Mike and Bear Rose and a few of you other guys will surely appreciate this. Probably almost everybody will. I told my better half, I said, Penny, I said, you watch, I bragged that drill up because I've had that for at least 15 years, and I made a segment about it. I said, you watch that stop working after I brag it up. I came out here, I switched back to the DeWalt drill because it's lighter, because this thing here kills my hands. This thing here weighs like 5 pounds, maybe 8. But sure enough, guys, that's what happened. Slow down, then I could hold it a certain way. So I know that needs brushes in it too. But what can I say? Like I said, that was purchased. Well, I got it from my job, and I was using it on my job back in 2007. So, who knows before then? So, yeah, guys, we're just going to do this. I'm going to widen the floor, and I have tested this a little bit, and it's helping it. I wish I could have kind of done the floor first, but there's no way of getting into all these spots with the plenum the way it was, standard plenum. You guys know I have this all cut back. And I'll worry about this when I'm done with everything else. And as far as the floor being a little bit rough, I'm not going to worry about smoothing that out, guys. You know, smoothing things out in certain areas helps on certain things like heads and stuff like that, certain areas. But other parts of airflow, like with intakes and stuff, it don't really hurt to be a little bumpy in spots. Sometimes the air will stagger. If you have something completely flat, it will actually slow down. If you have something that's a little bit bumpy, the other air kind of skips across it and it helps pull it along. It's almost like you being behind a tractor trailer in a car, and if you get too close to it, it will pull your car. So kind of the same principle. Maybe not a very good way of explaining that, but kind of on the same lines, guys. But Ignore the noise, fellas. And if anybody don't want to hang in there for this, I don't blame you. That's okay. Wrong way, guys. Hang on. Gotta flip this switch back. I just wanted to stop and tell you guys, over on this side, the floor is on such an angle, the pitch is just too much, and their theory behind that is to get that air to go out on an angle, but it actually pinches the air off. So, to me, that was a bad move. Trying to do something in the, probably the way of thinking that's going to help it, I think it hurts it. So, I'm taking it out, guys. But, that's just my theory on stuff, guys. Trying to hold this on an angle, guys, and actually do this over top of my phone. It makes it rough. I got the wrong angle on here, but I'm just trying to give you guys an idea of what I'm doing here. By using this ball, fellas, this actually helps round this in how I want it to the sidewalls without digging a trench. This will actually take whatever's high and hit that, and whatever's low. By using this size ball right here, it won't grab what I don't want it to grab. That way I can stay pretty consistent. I'm worried about this high bank right here on this side more than this side. But I do want to widen where the runner goes around right here because it has a peak on it right there. So I'm trying to widen that a little bit also because that's actually a restriction area right here where it turns. So that's what I always do. And where it makes the turn right there, I'll actually cut this back. So that's one of the things I do, fellas. I just thought I'd mention that real quick. And here's another thing I hate about this Harbor Freight drill. The trigger always goes the opposite way. It gets pushed the other way very easy. That really aggravates me. Oh well, enough complaining, right guys? The high peak I'm talking about is mostly right here in the middle. So this ball will help level that out. But it's very hard to stay on top of that because it wants to go one way or the other. But going across it, it'll wear that down. Even though it's going like this here and pulling me back and forth, it's kind of like I have to fight it. It still will even this out. And the more I go across it, the more it will level out eventually. I just thought I'd show you guys how much work goes into doing this kind of stuff, and you just don't make time doing it. You have to gnaw at stuff, and that's all you can really do. It's just gnaw at it and stop and look and make sure it's consistent. And I don't know if it will show up on the phone here, but you can see how high the metal is here and how low it is here. That's why that ball is pretty good, because it's showing me right here where that low spot is. I'm going to actually taper that in till that's gone. And then if I think it's too low on this side, I'll fill that in. But I'm hoping I don't have to get into doing the epoxy. I really don't like doing that unless I have to. I'm going to try to make this as good as I can. And my first idea was to make a floor for it, but I'm going to level this out, and we're going to take it step by step instead of me redesigning a whole different way of thinking here. I'm just going to correct what I think the bad parts of this intake is, and then we'll see if it needs more after that. But so far, I'm getting where I like it, and I never thought I'd say that. If I can get these runners how I want them, which I can, it's just time consuming, fellas, and I've been really worn out on this thing. The crown on top of the floor right here is peaked too much for my thinking. Everybody else is going to say, no, that's a tunnel ram effect, that's what they do. Well, I base things off what I think makes sense, and I think the floor is just too narrow. And if it doesn't work out how I want it to, I can fix it later. I can either make a floor for it, or if I think it's worth it, it's aluminum. I can fix it or do whatever we need to do to it. Do I want to go that route? No. But so far, what I'm doing here is the easiest thing I could be doing. This is actually the most laid back I've been on this intake, is doing that floor. So once I get the floor knocked out, then I'll jump back up on the plenum. I'm going to even the rest of the runners out, because I still have to straighten them out still. They're not exactly how I want them yet. But they are pretty straight. But I mean, they're not how I want them. I haven't done the finished texture on them. And a little bit rough don't hurt anything, guys. Everybody wants everything, like I said, real smooth. But I'm not going to worry about making this pretty inside. It's going to be where I think it works, and that's how I'm going to leave it. So when I have my mindset like that, it helps me, because I don't get as upset. I kind of enjoy doing it, but when I start getting all technical and worrying about what it's going to flow, how it's going to flow, then that's where I run into trouble. If I just do something and I think, well, if it works, it works. If it don't, I'm good. But when I start getting myself, is this going to work on the car? Am I hurting this? Am I making a mistake? That's when I get in trouble, guys. And one thing I will say, whenever you do something like this here, guys, grinding, you might think you're okay, even though you're not taking that much. But casting is casting, and some of it is rougher in spots than others. And one thing you always want to check, if you go through a runner like this here, you always want to take a light and check really well, because you can have a pinhole and not even know it, and you would have air go through that hole and have a vacuum problem and not realize where it's at. So if you ever have it where you poured an intake, keep that in mind. I'll show you what I mean when I jump back on the 460, because I just did that to my 460 intake, the Williams Stealth intake. I was working on that, and I have a pinhole right up inside here, and I had to mark it to make sure that I remember that it's there. So like I said, guys, anything I come across, I want to show you or tell you, especially something that might help you or stop you from making a mistake. So, but one thing I promise, fellas, well, I shouldn't promise, but my intentions are to never get this carried away with something like this again. I don't want to jinx myself, guys, but my plan is to actually start cutting back on stuff, and I'm getting where I want to retire, to be honest. But if I do things that aren't that crucial, I don't mind it. When I start putting numbers on a car and trying to make a head do something that it's not meant to do, or an intake. Not so much this intake, because this intake should do whatever you want it to do, especially on a motor that's calling for it. But like taking the E7 heads and things like that, and then trying to blow them out and go 9 seconds and even more so, that's when things start pressuring me. I only pressure myself. Nobody else really pressures me. It's just me doing it, guys. I do it to myself. But, yeah, I guess I'll explain that to you fellas. But anyway, guys, there's no sense boring you with this. I'm going to be working on it. I just wanted to give you an idea of what I do, how I do it, and why I'm doing this. And maybe so you can remember how this was before. And actually, you guys seen it after I cut it down a few times before that, so it was even worse. And I don't know how it shows up when you guys watch it. But that's why I try to do these segments, just to give you an idea. And then when it's finished, you'll think, oh, yeah, he leveled that out. And then if we do a number with the air and fuel, if it works out, I'll say, well, that stuff helped out. So I can pass it on to you guys, or pass on, well, fellas, that was worthless. All I did is take an intake, and it's the same, you know. But I think it's going to be good, guys. I really do. I think the floor is another problem because of the way the peak is, and it gives that air a tendency to go right out that runner. If the floor was knocked down some, and like I said, they designed it like this on purpose, fellas. And I know you guys are going to get on there and say, that's the tunnel ram, that's not made to be like a normal intake. Well, if it was made like a normal intake, I wouldn't be doing this stuff to it, because it would have been fine with the air and fuel. So keep that in mind, guys. But once again, guys, thank you for stopping and seeing what I'm up to. I get rambling, and that's one of the downfalls I have. I remember something, and then I went in, oh, let me tell them guys that. Because once I shut this off, I'll remember 50 other things I should have said or didn't say. But one thing I'll guarantee you guys, you get at least 1 or 2 mistakes in every one of my segments. So I promise you that. And as long as it's me, I don't think I'd ever change. Especially with no editing, guys. Have a good day, fellas, and thank you again.